And we are live. I want to thank the audio. Suddenly, we're holding our own rally. Welcome to the Crafty Boys.
Oh man! Now with new and improved laugh track.
Yes, exactly. Just kind of waiting. Kind of wet. Wow, that was the best thing ever. Now with new and improved sound and audio and quality, or I don't know, something. Hey everyone, thank you for coming. All for you. But that's okay because it's a bigger audience than we normally get. I lost my train of thought because we.
Okay, let's get it going here. What are we doing?
Let's talk about the beer. What's going on here? Tell me. This is Dave's pick from a suggestion I made a few weeks back.
Yes, because I thought your suggestion was a fine one, Shane. So we this week are going for this badass lady here, Trifecta
from Parallel 49. What is Trifecta, Dave?
It's a Hopfenweiss.
What does that mean? If you were to translate that, what does that mean, Dave?
Not so sure about Hopfen. I mean, it's hops, yes. The Weiss is white, of course.
The white beer.
No. I don't know. I imagine, Alan, you probably do know.
No, I'm thinking Hopfen is hops and Weiss. I was assuming it was wheat.
No, Weiss is white.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Well, if you want to know, everyone, thank you for. We like beer. We don't proclaim to be awesome about beer. We just love beer. Read the subtitle of our podcast. We just like drink beer and talk.
I'm not getting paid, dude.
Hopfenweiss Trifecta. And they're off. Hold on to your hats, folks. We've added a trifecta of hops to this hefe. I just spat all over my desk. Place your bets on a winning brew. This thoroughbred is going to win. Place and show with its triple crown combo of hoppy, spicy, and fruity aromas. The beer upholds the banana and the clove character of a traditional German Hefeweizen while adding a unique twist. I don't know what it'd be nice if we knew what that was. Trifecta is a dry hopped is dry hopped with Huel, Melon, Meridian, and Sapphire hops. Actually, I kind of know something about hops. Not a lot, but I know those names. Hops which add notes of strawberry, kiwi, lime, jasmine tea, and give it a fruit smoothie-like impression. The international beer units on this sucker. I have to click the button to get there.
Don't appear to be listed on the bottle, anyways.
Is not even on their website. So that's fine. That's okay, because I don't care. At 5%, serving temperature between 4 and 10 degrees. The malt's Pilsner, wheat malt, oat malt, and the yeast is a German wheat yeast. And they, of course, put in some wheat and some other
And on the label here, it has their little maltiness, bitterness scale from 0 to 10. On the maltiness scale, it comes in at about 4.5, I would say. And on the bitterness, it's under 2 out of 10. So
this is going to be like fruit juice, and
basically it is. So I've tried it. Man, it's complex flavoring. I'm not too, when I first drank it, it was kind of reminiscent of a bit of a fruity kind of IPA. But after you taste it, you realize it's not a hop bite that you're getting.
Right.
It's the fruit juices.
Hey, Peanut Gallery. Sorry, the Peanut Gallery has to come and get their share.
So it's very complex, the flavoring.
It's right there. There you go. Let me try that again. Wait a minute. I was distracted there. I was not able to concentrate on the swooshiness of my mouth here. Wow, that's a hop in the mouth. I'd hop that for $1.
Alrighty then.
Man.
So what do you think?
I'm sorry. A couple weeks ago, we had a beer that just really leveled the playing field to a crater because it was so awesome. But I give a thumbs up to the trifecta of this because it's got a nice hop.
It's refreshing.
It's a summer beer,
but it's complex enough that anybody can appreciate it. Like it's not like your typical lager or pilsner, which is also good in the summer, but it's not bland or watery or anything. It's decent. It's
not being overpowered by the guts. It is. I gotta say, I am impressed, and I recommend anyone to go and check it out.
And I have to say this: it takes a lot to impress Shane, because I remember one time we were going around down the street, and he saw a car and remarked that it was brown, and that really impressed him.
Wow.
No, it does.
Tough customer then. Really tough customer.
Shane is a very discerning
yeah. Wow.
person. What do you think, Dave? You picked it. What do you think?
I agree with you. He is a very discerning. He's a tough crowd. Absolutely.
Read about the beer.
Oh.
That's kind of what I was wanting to know, but Dave's talking about me again.
I like this. I basically agree with a lot of what you already said, Alan. It's and it's the kind of thing that I would actually suggest people like me give a shot to if they call themselves non-beer people, because it's pretty smooth, wouldn't you say?
It is.
Yeah.
It doesn't attack you. It doesn't try and kick you in the tonsils. Nothing like that. It's quite smooth, but it's still, and I guess this is me after like 3 years worth of beers, but I do like, you call it complexity. Yeah. I like that.
And I've had some, Hefeweizens in the past, and they're good. I like Hefeweizens. Very summery beer.
Yeah.
But they seldom have the kind of complexity in the flavoring that this one has. A lot of them are sort of like one-dimensional. And this thing, I mean, if we're going to go by the name Trifecta, let's just say it's three-dimensional.
Ooh. Ah. Okay.
The Trifecta has a three-dimensional flavor. There we go.
I would agree, because the problem that we've run into quite often is you get a lot of beers that have hops, and I mean, it's, to me, at least from my experience, it seems to be a West Coast phenomenon. I mean, it's not anymore, but when triple hopped, beers started to appear, at least from my perspective, because beer up to that point, you had the odd one that was a hoppy beer, but the rest of them tended to sort of drift, to the ale or to the the more commercial. Oh God, I can't say this without not wanting to laugh, but like Budweiser and things, they were drifting that direction because they still wanted to attract that market. But now that we've had this whole renaissance in craft brewing and whatnot for the past 10 years or so, it's made it far more interesting. It's made it far more it's given rise to great beer, but a lot of them kind of go overboard. They try and they're like, we have to make an IPA, so we have to, but then they put in too many hops. They put in things that don't quite go with the hops they've chosen, but they still release it to market, and that's where you get these beers that kind of punch you. Like there's the fine line for like Fat Tug, and then people drifting towards what Fat Tug has accomplished with that particular recipe. But they don't have the control and they kind of go overboard. And
Mhm.
Fat Tug is it's the sort of ceiling of hoppiness, and you'd never really want to go past that because otherwise the beer becomes too tart, or the beer becomes it doesn't have the flavors that you were expecting it to have or you claim it has. Yes, it smells like bananas and it tastes like chocolate and peanut butter mixed together. Yeah, no, it doesn't, because it tastes like a hop plant, took root in my mouth and then made love to my sinuses, and that's all I get, and that's not really what you want. You sometimes, once in a while, you kind of want to just hop me to death, man. But that's a beer title, right?
It's
there.
kind of
Hop
weird.
me to death,
You
man.
get that mood sometimes, don't we? Where maybe not Dave, but it's just like I want something that is so hoppy. I want my tongue to like, escape from my mouth and run away.
And that's I mean, it's like that. The one time I've ever done this was I ordered a peated hop where a peated ale, and for the first, I don't know, 5 minutes of me trying to down that pint, it tasted like I was drinking dirt, and it was overpowering. But as time went on, it suddenly I started tasting the other flavors of why this was, but the first time, man, I thought I was like gonna send it back. I'm like, yes, this is not me. Why did you put so much dirt in this beer? But but after as I said, a few minutes after that, or 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it was, because I nursed that baby for a while. You kind of started tasting like the different, like grass and maybe dandelion weeds or whatever the hell the tastes were like. I don't remember anymore, but it was a great adventure and I would do it again. But I'd probably have a far different experience, obviously. So, what is like the worst beer you've ever had at first, but then appreciated later?
For me, actually, this was a number of years ago. I remember where your office used to be, Shane. There was a bar that was downstairs in your office.
Used to be called, it was called Dick's.
Yes, that's the one. And we went there one time with a few of your friends, and they had an IPA there. And I don't know if it was the first time I ever had an IPA, but it was so hoppy, so bitter, I could barely down the thing. Like, I mean, I nursed that pint. We had a picture of it, and everybody's, like reloading their glasses and everything. And I just got my first glass, and I'm like, oh my God, this is disgusting.
Why am I doing this to myself? The hell's wrong with you people?
But I don't know if it was just that IPA, which probably had an IBU rating of like 3,000. But
some of those beers were. I mean,
it was really, really hoppy. Or if maybe I've just kind of refined my taste buds a little bit more, that maybe all IPAs are that hoppy and I just don't even notice it anymore. I don't know.
The big that place, by the way, closed down, as you know, I think.
Yes.
And then it is. Have we been there since? But it's now a red racer. Like the big red racer, like they took the Dick's logo off of the side of the building and then actually have installed it in the pub because it's kind of a heritage piece or something. But yeah, so they've actually got the red racer logos everywhere, all that kind of fun stuff.
So was it Dick's, like DIX?
Yes.
Yes. So I always thought
I went to a pub named Dick's.
I always thought it was like French for 10. It was D.
No. No, it was called Dick's. I've long since forgotten where that came from, but essentially, the whole it was like a fairly large chain, but that I don't know, but it was under a different name. The owners, there were like two owners, and it was kind of confusing to me at times, but whatever. They had beer and they were convenient. They could stumble down the stairs and enjoy a pint. So yeah, but
so what about Dave? Dave, this might be a bit of a a loaded question for you, but is there a beer, a beer style that you tried that you hated at first that maybe you're kind of warming up to now?
Yeah, totally.
And don't say IPAs because that's what I said. So you got to say something else.
I gotta say something else.
Yeah, Dave, you can't think for yourself.
No free thinking here.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, I'm going to say everything.
Okay.
Everything. Oh, Jesus.
Well, as you guys know,
You're a beer tolerant.
wasn't even a beer guy. I still don't really consider.
In fact, I think the only reason why you're doing this podcast is because we were doing it, and you suddenly called Shane, and Shane was like, "Hey, do you want to do a podcast?" And you're like, "Oh, okay, sure, why not?"
That's right. 10 minutes before episode 1.
Yeah, basically.
And now we're at episode. This is 142. 142, boys.
Whoa. Crazy
Wow.
shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were going to say, Dave.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Yeah. It's literally beer. Because I barely touched the stuff before 3 years ago.
So let me refine the question then. Do you ever, when you're not doing the show, like say on a weekend or something,
right?
Is there a go-to beer that you'll pick? Like, would you ever drink a beer when you're not doing this show?
I do sometimes, pretty infrequently, but I do.
Infrequently. Yep. So what is your go-to?
Don't wait for the translation. Answer him now.
Oh, geez. What would a go-to be?
Perhaps something from Gladstone?
You know what? I'm going to have to sort of give a wiggly answer here because it is or would be the Ginger Ninja, which has not been made in the last couple of years. Actually, more than that, because I had it one time and one time only. For some reason, I went to the booze store, picked up one of these or a 6, can't remember. Went to Shane's. That's the only time I've had it, and I loved it. And that was well before we started doing this podcast.
Yeah.
And I've not had a chance to have it since because I've never seen it.
They haven't been making it in a while.
Yeah. But I loved it.
They tend to put it out in the summer, though. So you never know. Have a look around the summer.
Yeah, but I'm in there often enough over the last 3 years. I should have spotted the damn thing at least once.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If
Ginger Ninja is made by Granville Island Brewing. So I don't know what the deal is if they just stopped production of it or what. It was a seasonal as it was. Now there is from Phillips the ginger beer from Phillips, which isn't a ginger beer in the strictest sense, but that's what they call it. And that to me tastes very similar to the Ginger Ninja.
Yeah, I didn't remember it striking me the same way. And it could just be the whole, shit in your memory is always better and brighter and so much more wonderful. So that could be it. I don't know. Because I think we have done the Phillips Ginger on the show.
Yes, we have. Yes.
Yeah. It didn't strike me the same.
No.
It was decent. I liked it. But
I've tried both. I've tried the Ginger Ninja and I've tried the Phillips. And actually, I tried them fairly close together, like in the same summer. And I don't recall a noticeable difference between the two. So now the Krabby's ginger beer that we did.
Okay.
That was authentic.
That was awesome.
And you know what? I have to say that although it's not what I would consider to be a craft brew, but if you get a chance to try the Krabby's, do it. because it is amazing. It tastes like a traditional ginger beer. Like a ginger beer soda, which we would be familiar with here in North America.
I'm going to coin a term, if I may.
Sure.
I'm going to call that a gateway beer.
A gateway beer.
Yeah.
Gateway beer to
beer.
The harder beers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't want to go there, kids, do not get the ginger from Krabby's, because then it'll just be a world of hurt for you.
Krabby's is the pot of beer. Before long, you're going to be doing lines of Coke.
And that is never a good sign. When you're doing lines of Coke after listening to a beer podcast, you know that something tragic has happened. Hey, Dave, I ask you this question. Do you remember a movie from 1989 called Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Do I?
Okay. Do you remember the sequel? Called...
Do I remember the sequel? Not as well as the original.
Okay. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Yep.
So are you aware that there is a film coming out that has been confirmed just this week, even though they weren't keeping it a big secret, called Bill and Ted Face the Music?
I was vaguely aware that something was happening, but until this moment, I had no idea what the title was.
Well, Alan was so good to find this article where basically Bill and Ted are, they're in their 50s, and they still have yet to write the music that will unite the universe or bring harmony to the universe, align the planets, whatever the hell
and cause bowling scores to go
bowling
up,
scores to go up,
golf scores to go way down.
Exactly. So the guys that actually created the original film have actually written this one. So so it's actually going to happen. I gather the big problem was that they were dealing with, because the company, the production company that owned the original rights to the film had been bought out, and blah, all that kind of stuff that happens in the film industry. So the rights were owned by, whomever. So yeah, it was, it's now been sorted. So there you go. I don't know if it's actually had any filming done. I somehow doubt it, but
I would imagine the filming is going to get going quite quickly here. Basically, they've had the script, the actors, the director for years now. It has just been getting the funding and all the legal stuff worked out. Well, as of, I think it was yesterday or the day before, boom, all that stuff is taken care of. The project is now greenlit. So a lot of that pre-production stuff is done. I mean, this stuff has been worked on for years now. I mean, I gotta say 10 years they've been working on it.
At least. Yeah.
So, at this point, you got to think they have some locations and everything already scouted and all that kind of stuff. I would be surprised if they're not filming within a few weeks.
Yeah, but would they be doing stuff like that if there's no money?
According to the money is now sorted. That's part of the reason.
Yeah, as of yesterday. But that's my point, right? Yes, it's been sitting in limbo for 10 years. But would somebody have been on locations, all that kind of stuff, without any money pipeline?
Probably not. But again, it depends on who's involved, right? So you have I don't know. Let's say you were making a film and you were the one that actually was going to be directing, or you were high up in the food chain of that film. But then turn around and basically you've got the sudden, oh, hey, this could be on the horizon in 6 months or something, some sort of positive stuff happens even a year beforehand. You might, as the person running the show, might be like, well, you know what? I'm going to rent a car. I'm going to drive out to blah, 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 and take a look at that place that I've been told looks really like, Pug's anus. So, we need that shot in the movie. It's so important. And we need a great location for it. So it might happen. I don't know why Pug's anus came out, but there you go. But essentially, yeah, I mean, there's all of these things fall into place usually at the last minute. So I've learned, but again, at least it's getting done. That's all I really care about. Because
I want to see this.
I think a lot of people do. I think they have an audience out there that's not quite has been acknowledged. And again, they're riding the wave. They'd be riding the wave of the nostalgic wave of
totally.
So
it's computers.
It's computers, man.
Here's high school football rules.
What he said. So yeah, I mean, there's all these sorts of things that I think are. I mean, one of the big things too is that we have people like Keanu Reeves, who has been, his career as an actor exploded. He runs a motorcycle shop down in Los Angeles, where they build custom motorcycles for. They're called Arch, ARCH, I think. I think they're called Arch Motorcycle. And just to give you an idea, they've got right now they have like one model, two models, and essentially they've
already doubled production.
Apparently,
they got from one model to two models, just like that. Wow.
So, but each of these motorcycles, the last time I don't think they have prices on their website. I'm on their website right now. A lot of carbon, stuff put into the thing.
I'm assuming it's one of them. If you have to ask, you can't afford it type deals.
Yeah, I think the base model is like $80,000. So, unless you have 80 grand sitting around, you're probably not going to pick one up. But again, you never know.
He rides, right? Which is why.
Yeah, he's big into motorcycles. I think their sort of big, huge announcement was the Super Bowl this year, where there's I think he's driving down a highway on a motorcycle, and he's balancing. I'm speaking of Reeves here, of course, and he's balancing on the whole thing and whatnot. So, it's good on him because he's taken something he loves, because he was like that famous guy who bought his entire crew during the Matrix movies. He bought like all the production behind the scenes people, like motorcycles and stuff, Harleys, I think, or something.
Holy shit!
Yeah. So this is the thing, Keanu Reeves has got this sort of mythical. From what I haven't read a whole lot about it, but essentially he's one of those dudes that's kind of, recognizes that, the movies aren't just the people in front of the camera. There's, everyone else that's, there's 400 times as many people behind. So, he just, I think he also, like, because the Matrix did so well, financially, I think he actually got part of the take as well. So like he had points on whatever the returns were. So he made a lot of money. So turning around and meeting some cool people and going, you know what, let's make a motorcycle company, it's a drop in the bucket financially for him anyway. So I would think anyway.
Cool.
But being able to invest in something you're really passionate about is kind of a bonus.
Yeah.
It's like if I were to become a bazillionaire tomorrow, I would hire hitmen to kill you both. I mean, prank podcast, prank live stream. What the hell? Who are you people?
Wow. That was dark.
That went dark real fast. So yeah, I don't know. I give him props because, you know, from what I've read, he's had a pretty rough go in life in the last. He's kind of like who is that crime writer? Famous
Rory Calhoun?
Rory Calhoun. I said Rory Calhoun. Nuts. What is his name?
You got some titles in mind?
Michael Connolly, James Elroy. James. I just googled crime writers. James Elroy. James Elroy. He's a crime fiction writer. Is he? I guess I better confirm my facts here before I start speaking further. But essentially, unless it's not James Elroy. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, this writer, be it James Elroy or somebody else, you know, when he was very young, his sister was murdered or kidnapped and murdered, and that kind of was, you know, I guess what the spark was for them to become a crime writer. So, you know, that was a pretty dark beginning as a kid, and Reeves has had a very similar kind of thing where I think it was his sister. I don't remember. Somebody close to him died early on, and then he had a relationship with a woman, an actress, I think, and they got pregnant. The child was born, and the child was apparently stillborn. So the child was, you know, dead on. Actually, dead on arrival is a really horrible way of saying it. But when the child was born, it was not alive. Then, like, you know, 3 months later, like not long after, a year and a half or something, the woman he was with died, I think, in a car crash or something. So, and all of this stuff kind of happened really close together, right? So, you know, just. But again, I'm not Keanu Reeves. I don't actually know the real sort of story, but essentially, yeah, I gather he had a rough go for quite a while, and you know, and to see him actually doing something like this is kind of nice. So, yeah, I would say that about anybody, somebody who's had a rough kind of experience like that, like very close together. You know, Kelsey Grammer, another actor that just popped into mind, had a similar experience like that to the crime writer. I gather his sister was murdered by a serial killer or something, like somebody, you know. Anyway, and he still goes to the parole thing to say no, he's crazy, and keep him in jail, please. So, you know, just stuff like that. You know, I mean, people in sort of my way of thinking about the world, you know, and when it comes to sort of psychological trauma and things like that, you have these things like parents passing away. Those are kind of expected things, you know, that eventually your parents will, you know, they'll get to a certain age, and they'll be elderly, and then they will eventually pass away. You know, I mean, in your case, Alan, your dad went way too soon, but you know, you kind of, I don't know. I've always thought in the back of my mind, I will live longer than my parents. You know, I will, you know, that is the way it's supposed to be. But then you have things where parents die early, or you have siblings, or even parents who are murdered, and these kinds of, or die in a horrible, you know, crash or accident of some sort. You know, you have these things that, you know, that just kind of really, it leaves a stigma on somebody, you know, I think, that people kind of go, oh, that's so-and-so always, you know, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's easy to pick on Keanu Reeves or all these other people because they're, you know, public figures. But I don't know. This beer is pretty good.
It is very good.
I was getting a little deep there, so I thought I'd derail
totally.
myself. But yeah, you know, what can you do? Way to go, Dave.
We aim to please, as always. Hey, have you guys seen the newest Childish Gambino video?
Who's Childish Gambino? I hear that's some sort of murderer. Yes, I know.
Yes,
I've watched it probably about a dozen times.
It's pretty impressive.
What is it? Tell me.
It's Dan Glover.
Oh, okay.
of community fame.
Yep.
Childish Gambino is his rap hip hop. I think
Persona.
maybe. I'm not really up on what exactly the genre is.
I don't listen to hip hop.
Anyways, whatever. He's a rapper.
By the way, nice South Park pull. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Dave, keep going.
Yes, Childish Gambino is his alter ego. And he is really good, actually. Freaking scary good. You wouldn't imagine it seeing him as Troy. You really wouldn't.
It's true.
Because he's
And now, of course,
he's a good actor.
And we'll see what happens in a few weeks' time when he's playing on Lando Calrissian.
Lando, yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, which who?
What?
He's playing Lando.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Earth to Dave. Hello, Dave.
I couldn't make out what Shane said.
I'm sorry,
I
Dave,
know.
but drop the
Because
podcast.
he's eating on the air.
Right.
Yeah.
Very professional.
Can't complain. But
Yes, I
But
am looking
overall-
forward to that.
I am looking forward to it quite well. But the what is the word I'm looking for? Talent. Is extraordinary. He is he's like 12 years old, I think, to my mind. But the big thing actually, Alan, you haven't seen the video, but I'm assuming. But the video essentially is it's kind of a play on a bunch of different levels. We've got like people that are dancing and happy, and then a horrible thing happens. Somebody gets shot in the face, and then there's a pause. Then there's some, sort of moodier music or melodies going on, and then suddenly everyone's happy again. And I mean, there's a whole lot going on there, I think, in a lot of ways. I mean, I'd like to actually have his sort of thought of it, but there was a great review, I think, by the Washington Post, might have been the LA Times yesterday, that actually kind of went frame by frame, just saying, okay, well, you have this scene where this horrible thing has happened, but you have all these people over here that are still doing this dance routine. It's like they've paused, they looked, they were horrified, and then they just continued on. And some people, I would think, would argue that, well, that's life. You have these things happen, but you have to keep living, so you just keep going. And the imagery of these horrible things going on in the video essentially are based upon real life events from the last, decade. And, so you could argue that he's talking about that sort of reaction by people, but then you could say it's the reaction by how the media portrays these things and how there's all this coverage, and then there's everyone moves on to something else. So I don't know. It's a very interesting thing. I'd recommend watching it, and I think that I think you'll probably get a few more fans from this, because it's
well, it's exploded, which is why I was curious about your guys' take, because it's just taken over the internets basically. It's quite something. I've seen over the last few days a bunch of people and things like the Times, like you're saying, Shane, putting their take, like reactions and what's going on in this video, pointing out the various details of what it is he's doing, like his dance moves that he's using are actually very specifically chosen. I think his pants even were specifically chosen.
Oh, really? I hadn't seen
that. I don't know, because I didn't actually watch the video, but I just gather from.
You haven't watched it?
No, I've watched the video, but this one I'm mentioning here.
Oh, okay.
That talks about the choice of pants. It looks like it's a reference to the Civil War, but I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, it is.
So I think, like you're saying, Shane, it works on a bunch of levels.
It does, because and this is the thing, is that I think this is one of those moments where you can look at a piece of art that is honest with itself, I guess. It's not a vanity project. It's not a I don't know. I'm trying to be critical of some artists that you see out in the world that are doing things. Um, but overall, it's one of those few times where something I think like this will be created, and then people recognize it for the art rather than the commercial side. And of course, there is the argument that the video has been released 2 weeks before, just shy of 2 weeks before the movie Solo comes out. Just kind of ride a bit, because it is, the guy in the video is the guy who's in the movie.
I don't know if that was intentional, though.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, there's
intentional.
There's a marketing engine behind it, whether we want to admit it or not. So, unless Glover is his own dude and does all the stuff, himself,
very unlikely.
Exactly. So,
that's fair.
So there's going to be something there's something going on. Hoping. Again, it's what, a week and a half before, so I don't know. A week and a half to me, somehow, from a marketing standpoint, is a bit early. But again, would another 3 or 4 days before dropping something like this actually matter?
Mm-hmm.
Would it matter?
Yeah.
Because actually, it was released on what, Friday? No, Saturday night. Because he was also on SNL doing that song, and then I gather the video was released at some point, around that time overnight, so that people woke up Sunday morning and there it was. So anyway,
yeah, he strikes me as the kind of guy that says what he says because he feels he needs to say it or wants to say it. It's not calculated. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and it's subtle. I think it's subtle.
Yeah,
but I think that it's definitely it's good on him. I mean, how could that not be bad, or how could that be bad? I think it is a conversation, or it sparks a conversation that should be had. But again, I live in Canada, so we have guns here too, but not to the extent as the U.S. is my impression of Canada when it comes to gun violence. But again, I don't really see much gun violence. I see some in Vancouver, obviously. But to the level of, I mean, the thing that stuck with me, for not from this video, but from a conversation that was being had on the CBC a while ago, after the shooting at I've totally forgotten which one it was.
Sorry.
No. It was a shooting in the States. But anyway, I think it was the it was like 2 or 3 months ago. Maybe it was the Las Vegas one. Anyway, it's not important. The event was important, but to my point is not. Because somebody was commenting about, this is the most horrible thing ever, and there was somebody else in the conversation that just said, well, to be honest, if you really think about it, in the previous 7 days or 14 days, there were 15 other shootings. But because only 2 people died, it didn't get any coverage beyond their local region. So why are we covering this one when that one wasn't being covered, or the other 13 or 14 that happened weren't being covered? So why is this event important? Just because there was more dead people? Well, what kind of metric is that to justify whether or not we should cover it? So
yeah.
Anyway, it's kind of, see, we got all depressed now. Look, Alan, beer, the cause and solution of all of life's problems.
I'm empty. I'm all gone.
Man, you drink
so
fast.
This was a good beer. The Trifecta.
The Trifecta
Parallel
from
49.
Parallel 49. I gotta
Parallel
say,
49.
I gotta say, I would probably have this one again before the summer is
I
out.
would definitely have this one again. It's a seasonal, so don't wait around too long. I'd
Has this
find
one?
it.
Do you guys remember if you've seen this one before? Is this a brand
No.
new one? So this is brand new. Okay.
Brand new.
It's brand new to me, anyways.
I was just curious if we'd actually, encountered it before.
I don't recognize the label.
No, the
Nope,
label's
neither.
actually hold the label up. The label's actually quite interesting because it has the summer sort of look person who has a wide brimmed hat that of course has the hops on top. I don't know, it's quite attractive. I like it. It jumped when I saw it for the first time like a couple weeks ago. It jumped off the shelf before anything else beside it I noticed. But right
You
beside
probably don't
it,
want to buy that beer then. If a beer is jumping off a shelf by itself,
if it jumps out and leaps all over you, that's a bad beer. You better take that back to the brewery and say, I'd like a free 6-pack because this beer leapt off and tried to attack me. Then suddenly I'll be like making weird noises and playing hockey and beating the hell out of people for no reason at all.
the store clerk comes around the corner in the beer store and you're like writhing on the ground with this beer bottle as his arms like around your throat. Kill it.
If I didn't think I'd get thrown in the clink or tased, I would probably do something like that. Just have like just in whatever store, an inanimate object leaping on you and just like, oh my god! And then, just getting up. That damn thing is dangerous. You shouldn't have that in a store where there could be human beings.
Impressionable youngsters.
You'd never know. The impressionable youngsters they're
impressionable.
That would be a great punk band name, Impressionable Youngsters.
Oh yeah.
And now introducing from Bristol, the Impressionable Youngsters.
How impressionable are they? Pretty impressionable. So they're young, right? Actually, something else we should probably mention. Cobra Kai.
Oh.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I haven't seen it yet, but
okay.
I've seen the trailer and that's it.
Dave, have you watched it? Or at least the first episode?
No.
Okay. I recommend it.
Okay.
Mainly because of this, where it's not what I thought it would be, and I thought it would be terrible. I thought it was a milk run at the Stranger Things phenomenon. People, our age going and seeing things that are, have been around for a bazillion years. However, I was so surprised. I was floored that when whoever wrote it, the people that actually wrote the scripts, sat down and said, okay, we've totally got to do this. This is what's going to happen. But let's avoid doing what people will have expected. Like, let's not do that. Let's actually let's actually look at these characters from a human standpoint and go, all right, what are these two going to be doing 30 years down the road?
Oh.
So I gotta say, and a huge shout out to Ed Asner, who is the father of Johnny, whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah, get him a body bag.
Sorry, Peanut Gallery. Was he the stepfather? Oh, he was a stepfather. Who knew?
How did they pull that off?
Ed Asner hasn't died yet. How do they pull that off? Getting Ed Asner to do this?
They signed a contract.
They have money. I mean, this is the thing: is that John, whose name escapes me. Oh my god, what's the actor's name? anyway, Russo and Johnny, Daniel and Johnny, their real life counterparts are actually funding, or at least started the funding, because they're listed as executive producers for this program. And YouTube has money, so YouTube gave them money to do it because it's playing on the YouTube Red system, and which you would get it for free if you were in the US, but since we're not, we have to pay $2 or something per episode, which I think is a fair price for an episode of content. But still, it's one of those rare moments where you look at something and you go, "Oh my God, it's going to be horrible." And then you go, "Fine, I'll look. It's 25 minutes. I'll watch the thing. I'll eat dinner at the same time. It'll be great." And certainly I was surprised.
Well, good. I'll check it out.
Yeah, the first 2 episodes are basically the first 2 episodes are free. The first one is about Johnny, and the second one is about Daniel's son. So, okay. And they didn't overdo the Mr. Miyagi is dead trope where the mentor has passed on. He just kind of makes a passing, doesn't even say anything. He just looks at a photograph where basically there's a little shrine that he set up for Mr. Miyagi. He just kind of looks at it and straightens it out, and then moves on. Doesn't really kind of go, "Oh, Mr. Miyagi, my life is so awesome because I'm a millionaire," but that's okay. I'm waiting for his mom to show up, to be honest. The actress who played his mother.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I wonder if Elizabeth Shue will make a appearance. What?
I'm gonna look it up. I want to know if she's listed in the credits.
Probably not.
Does not appear that she is in it. She's not listed unless it's a big secret. But I will note she's listed in the credits of Death Wish, the remake of Death Wish. So there you go.
All right.
Hey, she was in Piranha 3D. Who knew?
Really? Wow, that career needs help.
Hey, well, you know what? In the film Piranha 3 Double D, which is a sequel to this one, I will point out that the actor Vin Rames is in both. So,
wow,
there you go. The character that he plays loses his legs in the Piranha 3D, returns in Piranha 3 Double D as a guy with steel legs, so he can go into the water a little bit and blast them with a shotgun while they can't eat his magic legs.
Magic legs, Lieutenant Dan.
Dad, are you to tell me that you hired strippers to be the lifeguards at our water park? Certified lifeguard strippers. I have to say, I had the flu, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and the film Piranha 3 Double D was on the thing. I'm like, that is something I can fall asleep to. I didn't fall asleep because I'm sorry, when the credits started playing, like the opening credits started playing, who knew that Doc Brown was going to be in it? And I'm like, I gotta know what Doc Brown's going to be doing in this thing. So, playing, of course, a crazy scientist who knows all about the piranha and why they're mutated or whatever the hell the whole point of the film was.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's
all right. I'm out of beer.
I've spoken and my beer is up. Wait a minute. My beer is all gone now. So there you go. Any final words, Dave?
Cheese.
Wow.
Yeah.
The beer is good.
Beer's good. Awesome stuff. Sorry for being such downers, but you're all awesome. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and just follow us and all that kind of social fluff. And we'll see you all next week for episode 143, where I have no idea what the hell the beer is going to be. So, boom.
Tune in, kids.
Bye.